From the Miami Dolphins training facility in Davie, Florida, this is Miami Dolphins Magazine. Well, Jimmy Johnson is one man that has a team on the rise, ready to compete this year in Atlanta for the Super Bowl. And, John, I think this is one guy that's got a bounce in his step because he knows something exciting is going on here.
Well, Jimmy didn't want to leave, and he didn't leave for one reason. He brought Dave Wanstead in. I thought that was a big key, and as well as knowing how good this team could be in 1999. They're so close to having a great team, not just to be a good team, but they could take that next step, and I think Jimmy wants to be a big part of that.
If there is a downer heading into the regular season start tomorrow night in Denver, is the amount of injuries. I think the injury list at one point had like 14 players on it. I asked Jimmy in a recent one-on-one if it was just the nature of the sport to have so many injuries.
You know, players continually get bigger and faster. You know, there's a lot of collisions, and you know, on top of that, you know, I think, you know, players probably take care of themselves better in preseason. And when I say that, I mean, in past years, 10 or 15 years ago, you know, a guy would break a finger or something, he'd tape it up and he'd go and play the next play. And whereas now, I think especially in preseason, you know, players may have a small injury and they want to make sure that they get it well and they take care of it before they start the real games.
Talk about the excitement that you have and you can feel in the team and the community and throughout about getting ready for this season, and particularly getting ready for the first game.
Well, I think, you know, because there are high expectations, because, you know, not only the fans, and the fans are always optimistic, but also the players. The players can see that we have upgraded the talent significantly, and for that reason, I think it's infectious throughout, and that everybody's expecting some good things for this team.
Defense, will they have to carry this team early on? I mean, building off what happened last year?
Well, I think we should be solid defensively, but, you know, if you're going to have a championship team, you've got to play well in all three areas. But here early, I think the defense are probably a little more set than what we are offensively, because we had a lot of changes in the offense with the young players, with injuries, whether or not it be with the receivers or with the, you know, running backs. And so it's going to take a little bit longer for the offense to come together. But we've got to play well in all areas if we're going to, you know, be successful.
Talk about Dan Marino and how you feel about, to me, with the receiving core of Yatil now healthy, Tony Martin and everything else. I mean, this is going to be pretty high potent. Yeah,
and I think, you know, Dan's excited about it. I think, you know, really with the supporting cast, I feel like that, you know, it's really going to help him significantly, and that it can take a lot of the load off of him, and that, you know, we should be able to run the ball a lot better. You know, we should have some receivers stretching the defense, etc. And so it'll make the entire offense more efficient.
Concern going to the Denver game with the running game? I know it looked like when Cecil was healthy that was going to be a key. Now he's still a little nicked maybe, and then you got J.J. Johnson coming back, and Kareem's still there, and Rob Conrad and Stanley Pritchett. So.
Well, you know, we've got some injuries there, and it is a concern. Pritchett's not healthy, Collins, Johnson, and so I don't know that any of them are really 100% right now. But you've got to look at the entire picture, and you've got to look at the entire season. I don't think you can focus in on just one ball game. So overall, I think we're going to be fine. We may not be at 100% for that first ball game, but I think it's going to be an outstanding group of players there for the long haul.
Well, as Jimmy says, it all gets underway. You forget about last year, that 38-3 loss in the playoffs, because tomorrow night it may be a different story because they are perhaps a little healthier than they were last year. Coming up, John goes one-on-one with a quarterback of the Dolphins, Dan Marino, Miami Dolphins Magazine. This is Miami Dolphins Magazine, and it is the 17th year. The number 13 will be leading the charge, Dan Marino, who turns 38 just 2 days after the season opener tomorrow. John Congemi had a chance to sit down with the aging quarterback that is still very, very sharp.
Danny, going in your 17th season, when you're getting ready to get introduced, standing in a tunnel, does it still feel exciting as it did the first time you ran out on the football field being an NFL quarterback?
Well, I think you get used to, you know, playing the game and you know, the circumstances around it. But I really do get excited about, you know, Sunday afternoons, 1 o'clock, and, you know, getting introduced, being the quarterback of the Dolphins. I mean, it's special to me, and I'm glad I am the quarterback, and it's fun.
In the offseason, Coach Johnson had talked about maybe not coming back. Do you see any change in his philosophy or any urgency on his part coming back to this season? Is he attacking it any differently than in the past?
I think he is really really excited about our possibilities as this team and what we can do as a team. I think he believes that we're going to have a chance to be pretty good, and I think everybody in the locker room thinks that. Now, believing it and doing it's two different things. I think we have a high confidence level, and we feel like we're going to have a chance to be good, and I believe it starts with him and the coaches and the players, and it's a good attitude.
Two big questions in the offseason. You go and you look at game film of last year, short yardage situations and maybe a deep threat offensively at the wide receiver position. Do you think you've answered that with Tony Martin and the depth of the running backs and the health-wise of the offensive line?
Well, first of all, I think our offensive line is deeper now than it's ever been and as good as it's been in years. As far as, Tony Martin, definitely he can get down the field. I mean, he's a good route runner. He knows the game. He's a veteran player. Teal Green is going to help a little bit because of his, ability to run down the field. He needs just to play a lot of football because he hasn't played that much. But, something we really emphasized is trying to, convert on 3rd and short, which we struggled last year, and we really need to do a lot better in those situations.
For you as a quarterback with all the experience you have, is it still things that you go back and look at and try to critique yourself? Are you still learning on the job even though you've got so much experience?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably my worst critic, watching game films and watching myself in practice. I try to, basically at times I try to coach myself. And for me, it's more footwork and timing and, knowing what the circumstances are. Reading defenses and those things, they come because you've been doing it for so long, you can recognize those things. But I think for me, it's, it's the physical part of having my body ready to play a game.
Well, you go into Denver on Monday night. Last year, you were 1-1 against them. You had great success at home, lost in a playoff game. Is health probably the biggest concern going into Monday night? If everybody is at 100%, how do you feel your chances are to win that football game?
Well, first of all, going into Denver, it's going to be difficult. It's one of the toughest places to play in the league. And they have a winning record there, final 20-some games in a row. So, but we believe we have a really good chance. And like any situation on the road, if we don't turn it over and we play good defense and we're able to make some big plays and have a chance at the end, then, there's always a possibility of winning. I think we're pretty confident. We got guys that can make plays, so we're going to feel pretty good about going into Denver.
Dan, thanks for your time and nothing but the best.
Thanks.
Good to see Dan Marino excited about this coming season, of course, against Denver, the two-time defending Super Bowl champions. A good measuring stick about how far this Miami Dolphins team is ready for the 1999 season.